Hey guys, what's up? It's Greg Trzbasti with the Deepest Dream podcast. For this installment, I have three more interviews from artists from The Voice Battle of Champions. This is very, very last minute. I have three artists for you on this installment, and this is very last minute because I'm recording this, the intro, that is Monday, March 16th. Within an hour and a half, these three artists will be in their respective battles for tonight's installment of The Voice Battle of Champions, which airs 9/8 Central, and the new episode will be available the next day on Peacock. All right, the singers for this installment include Jaali, Moses G, and Grace Humphries. I will just go, these interviews will be back to back to back. There's not going to be an intro for each one of them. I'm going to hopefully down the road make them more sophisticated, but I will. The goal of these installments of these audio interviews will be hopefully to give you guys a little bit more insights on each of the singers and artists I interview, singer-songwriters I interview along the way for this season of The Voice Battle of Champions. For Jaali Boyd, she sang No Air by Jordan Sparks and Chris Brown, and it was a really good performance. Really liked it. For that performance during the blinds, she became a member of Adam Levine's team. She's part of Team Adam. Tonight she goes against fellow Team Adam member Bijou Bell. Now, Jaali Boyd, what's interesting is when you look at her profile, it's Jaali Boyd. But at the beginning of the interview, she would prefer if I just to go by Jaali. So when you look for information on her, you can look up Jaali Boyd on her socials, or actually her Instagram social is just plain Jaali. But when you go on Google and look for other articles on her, go for Jaali Boyd. Now, out of respect for our interview, our initial conversation, she wants a Jaali, so I'm stamping pretty much everything Jaali as far as my coverage for Jaali. All right, so that is just a name situation. You can find her stuff on the interwebs under Jaali or Jaali Boyd if you are interested in her work. Speaking of her work, during the interview, she talked about possibly this summer we might be getting an upcoming album from her. She has a very interesting voice, and during the interview I mentioned I wish she could do a jazz album because I think Anita Baker isn't jazz, but I think if I recall when I looked at her Instagram, she did a track by Anita Baker. Was it Sweet Love? I could be completely wrong, but really enjoyed her voice, enjoyed the interview as well. During the package, you might remember she called herself the cleaning lady. And of course, that package on The Voice Battle of Champions was shot over a year ago, and she updated on that. She doesn't clean houses or apartments anymore. She is now, when the time suits her, a substitute teacher. So she has a substitute teaching gig to help support her music career, which she's very, very focused on. And yeah, hopefully, good luck to her against Bijou Bell. Again, I'm looking at it right now. I'm recording in about an hour and 15 minutes. The Voice will start on the East Coast. So I apologize to you voice enthusiasts and fans of these artists for that I'm getting this podcast installment very, very late. But again, first installment is Jaali. Second one is Moses G. He is, like Jaali, part of Team Adam, and he is actually, I believe, I didn't write it down on my Google Notes, Google Doc. He is going up against, I believe, fellow Team Adam member Alexia J during the battles. That will be a very interesting competition. Moses G, raised in Harlem, and during our interview, I asked him towards the end, that is, how Harlem has shaped him as an artist. And he talks about gigging and being a veteran. And even though he has been at this since he was 15, I think he's in his early 30s now. So he's been in it for a while. That said, when he visited or traveled to LA from New York during the Voice Battle of Champions, he said he felt like a 16-year-old kid just learning and seeing new things. And that was great to hear from him. And then he also talked about how he learned something called, quote unquote, the delicate balance of being a performer on not just The Voice, but moving forward. And he talks about that's the biggest lesson he learned during his time on The Voice. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. Check out Moses G, very friendly person. And I asked him also about a very close friend during when they had a viewing party. This friend had a really interesting, it wasn't party favors. I think she's made glasses or shot glasses or just different party knickknacks in the likeness of Moses G. And I just thought that was really well done. And I asked about that during the interview. So if you're confused when I asked him about some of the knickknack, like sort of a knickknack tchotchke questions, that was what it was referencing. And yeah, so the second one is Moses G. You might remember him for his blinds performance of the iconic Rod Stewart song "Forever Young." So wishing both Moses G and Alexia J good luck tonight on The Voice Battle of Champions, Team Adam. Finally, last but not least, is Grace Humphries. She sang Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell. And just for that performance, she is now part of Team Legend. Team Legend, at least up till the battles. We'll see what happens tonight. And I didn't look who she goes up against tonight. I'm going right now on the NBC Media Village, scrolling through a bunch of photos and thinking, where the heck is, or who the heck? Yes, here we go. Grace Humphries is going up against Adi Aurora. Adi Aurora tonight over for the battles. And here's the thing about Grace Humphries. I believe she is only 18 or 19, actually 18. And she is currently going to Belmont University in Nashville studying music. If you look her stuff up, she has her own website. I will put a link to that on the show notes. She has her own website with her music, and she has been writing and performing music for several years. So Grace Humphries, even though she's very young, she has a really good head start on her music career. And I actually reference or ask about one of the songs that she co-wrote and she sings. It's a track I really like called "For Years," and she talks about that during the interview. And a lot of these things, I'm trying to remember Grace Humphries, she's very passionate about songwriting, and I believe we talk a little bit about songwriting during the interview and her love, again, for Joni Mitchell. And she gives a really good answer on why she decided to tackle an iconic song like Both Sides Now. It's because one day she wants to reach that level, and that's a pretty ambitious thing to. She never said I want to be just like Joni, but she wants to have a career that's echoes what Joni Mitchell has done. And Joni Mitchell has done a lot of stuff in her career. And Grace Humphries on a good road because she has a lot of songwriting under her belt already. And if you've listened to her package on The Voice Battle of Champions, she talks about the loss of her brother at an early age. And that's something that, of course, drives her as an artist and as a person. We reference that very little bit on during the interview, but hopefully you get some further insights on Jaali. First up, Jaali. Secondly, Moses G and Grace Humphries. I will put up the next Deepest Dream installment of the next bunch of artists. I have a bunch of artists that I've already interviewed, and I'm coordinating the release of these interviews in conjunction with whenever their upcoming battles are. All that said, I should have released this installment at least a day or two earlier. My apologies to the three artists. And if you want to see the video version of their interviews, they're up on my Deepest Dream YouTube channel. I will be linking them as well on the show notes. And would love to hear your thoughts on this season's The Voice Battle of Champions and the artists. And hit me up on whatever socials I use. I'm not very good with social media, but email me over at editor@deepestdream.com or comment on my Deepest Dreaming Instagram page, and I will read them back during the podcast. Would love to hear what you think of the season and the artists as well. And yeah, there's going to be more film and TV coverage on this podcast, and I'm still in the process of just tinkering around with it on what I want to put. But right now, a lot of my little brain space is occupied with coverage of The Voice Battle of Champions. And if that's something that interests you, please subscribe to this podcast to listen to these interviews with these very interesting artists. Take care, and thanks again for supporting not just this podcast, but these wonderful artists over at The Voice Battle of Champions. Take care, guys. Bye. So I am with Jaali, Team Adam, no air performer. Amazing, by the way. It seems like
Thank
no air.
you.
Pleasure to meet you. Yeah. So no air seems like a very hard song to sing. I'm not in the know. You're in the know. Is that accurate or not regarding the difficulty of that song?
That song was actually difficult to perform, not only because the main artist is Jordan Sparks and she's singing way high, but because I know the song, I grew up with the song, I kind of had to unlearn singing it just like her and singing it just like Chris Brown and make it my own.
That's amazing. And what was it like actually performing in front of the three coaches and then with an audience and then maybe who knows? I don't know if you're in your element or out of your element. There's a lot of stuff going on. How are you able to focus and were you nervous?
I was I was very nervous, but before I came through the doors and walked on the stage, I actually was quite calm and I had done my breathing and I was in a good headspace. But as soon as they announced that I had 30 seconds, then all the feelings just came. My heart started beating fast. My palms were sweaty. So I feel like once I got on the stage, I was way more nervous because you can see the chairs and you're like, oh my gosh, they're right there. So that beforehand, I was okay. But once on the stage, I was definitely a lot more nervous.
I thought it was very interesting what Adam said about your voice. He said there's different elements he wants to uncover throughout this experience. That's from his POV. What did you uncover, not just about your voice, but about your talent throughout this journey?
Well, I actually, throughout the whole process, I learned a lot, of course. And I actually realized that I had a lot more range than I originally thought. I usually don't go up really high often, and if I do, it's a different part of my voice. So I definitely had to do a lot of work on reaching those higher notes to make it sound more effortless. And I definitely was able to unlock different parts of my voice that I had never done before.
What has the last maybe couple of weeks been like for you? Because you taped this, I think, around last summer throughout that journey, and then you had to wait all this time. But what has the last 2 weeks been like regarding feedback? I'm sure your family is really loving it, but just what's the whole vibe like been?
It definitely has been a little overwhelming. My phone, even just right, even during the performance, it wasn't even over yet, and my phone is blowing up. I'm getting text messages, phone calls, and then the once the videos are posted, comments, and not just Instagram, but TikTok, YouTube. So it was a lot. I actually had to just put my phone down for a little bit. I can't even look at my phone right now. It was too many messages.
That is, it must be so addicting because I doom scroll so much, but was it really a different level the last couple of weeks for you? And does it suck just being just so tethered to that, I guess?
Yeah, I definitely had to like give myself time away because I usually am on my phone pretty much every day, and I do sometimes take like social media breaks. But like I know right now, having to post content and respond to comments and like comments and repost, and so it's a lot. But I know that it'll kind of do that every time I'm on screen, and then it kind of dies down. But it was still cool. It was very exciting. Everybody who was trying to talk to me and say congratulations.
Yeah, so here's the thing. When you did after the performance, you mentioned Brandy as an artist you love. Then I was going through your Instagram feed and I love your voice. And I was thinking, wow, you'd cut an amazing jazz album. So I have all these things in my head, but I'm not
Uh-huh.
you.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself musically and artistically going on so many different avenues, or is there a specific path that you want to focus on?
I resonate more with the first thing you said. I sing many different genres because, well, for one, I was classically trained, so I have like a background that allows me to not be stuck in one genre or another. Of course, I would say like love songs and R&B are my favorite, but I love singing soul, jazz. I probably won't go back to singing opera because that's just a whole nother world, but I definitely am not just one thing. And I think that you, as at least watching the rest of the show, will be able to like see that what comes and the songs I get to sing and really being able to branch out and not just focus on one genre or another.
Well, what was your initial decision to join The Voice this year, and how much sacrifice did you have to make even before hitting that stage?
Well, the process is months and months. I had actually auditioned once before in I think 2021 but it was still like COVID, so like everything was virtual. So I had to send in a video and I didn't even get past like that round. So after that, I really wasn't gonna do it again because that just was kind of, I was okay, well, they didn't want me. So when the opportunity came around again, I was like, well, I could probably go in person, let them hear my voice. They can see me, they can feel me, and maybe I could give it another try. And that time I got through. So that was very exciting. And I don't think I really had to sacrifice much because I'm single, I live alone. My main income source is gigging and doing music. So it was really just another opportunity to do music just with the voice.
From the outside looking in, it seemed like one would change, not just artistically, but maybe personally, from working with so many different musicians on something like The Voice, meeting people of so many different convictions musically. Are you still processing what you learned from that entire experience, meeting so many different people, but then also collaborating with maybe people that you've never really kind of collaborated before with? So,
Yeah, I definitely met a lot of people, and there, of course, are so many people in production and just a part of the show. It was not overwhelming because I kind of meet people all the time, just in different rooms that I'm in, and even certain like stages and events that I sing at, just meeting people. That's kind of just a part of the job. But it's still kind of, I don't want to keep saying overwhelming, but that's another word for overwhelming. But I do have a lot more connections and even other artists that are on the show, still in contact with them, making plans to meet up, to make music, to write, and we were even doing that while we were there, like making those connections and writing together and just having jam sessions. So even though now we're all back wherever we live, those things are still upcoming.
so upcoming, what do you see yourself in the future doing with your career and your ambitions? Have they changed because of The Voice, or maybe not? Maybe The Voice was just another chapter, and then you've that road before you was that always set with what you want to do?
The path is still definitely, it hasn't changed much. I really just appreciate the voice for more exposure because I sing background, I sing in agency bands, I do my own solo stuff. I am preparing to release my own music. So I really just want this whole process to send my face out and my voice out more than it had. And I think I was a little bit known before the show, and now millions of people have seen me and heard me, so that'll be able to open up doors that maybe would have been still closed before. So just working on my artistry and still kind of figuring out what lane, because I know the music industry wants you to pick a lane, and I'm not really in one lane or another. So just trying to figure that out, but definitely getting more exposure and being seen and heard by people who would have never seen me.
So that was a really nice package where your package was your singing cleaning lady. That was from close to a year ago. Also, if people go to your IG feed, you can actually be a vocal coach as well. These two elements, because you're so busy, are they still somewhere in your stratosphere on what you do on a day-to-day basis, or not?
I definitely do not even clean as much. And because I'm trying to be a full-time musician, I don't have a regular 9 to 5 because I need time to go to rehearsals and to fly out whenever I need to fly out. So right now, I just started being a substitute teacher. So that's also really just like cleaning was flexible. It's just not as gross. I rather work with kids than scrubbing toilets, but I am doing whatever I need to do to make sure that I'm good and that I can still travel and sing and do what I love.
Charlie, thank you so much for your time. How's substitute teaching? I've never done that in connecting with kids. Is it cool?
It's actually cool. And I don't want to say it's easy, but it depends on the school, depends on the class, but some days are really cool. They know what work they have to do. Elementary school is a little bit harder. You have to be more hands-on, but middle school, high school, like they just come in, they know they do their work. You really just have to sit there with them, take attendance. It's very smooth. It's smooth.
Yeah, and thanks again so much for your time. And my camera, I hate this camera, just went out. But selfishly, when can we expect new music from you, Jolly?
Ooh, I definitely would say maybe this summer. Just
Possible.
be
Okay.
be on the lookout. Be on the lookout. This
All right.
definitely this year.
All right. And I'm gonna say maybe in the future, maybe a jazz album. I'm just being selfish. Yeah,
Maybe I love
hey,
singing jazz too. Maybe I'll do an album in every genre just because.
thanks so much, Jolly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So I am with Moses G from The Voice, Battle of Champions, season 29. Pleasure to meet you, Moses.
Likewise, Greg. Pleasure to meet you. How are you?
Good. Well, I'll tell you, when I saw your package and your performance, I was not okay because I think I was chopping onions towards the
Oh,
start of the. What did you say to your mom when she was saying that? I'm paraphrasing, that she's honored to have you as your mother. And did you tell her afterwards, like, you got me? So
yeah, I did. I did many times over at this point. That was real healing that you were witnessing. Like that was real, like the culmination of all the work that we've done on our relationship. Excuse me. All the work that we've done on our relationship since when I moved out of home and stuff. That was like the final bit of it that was leaving me in real time, and they captured that on camera. So major moment for both of us.
wow, that's amazing. Moses, on that major moment, can you talk about choosing Forever Young from Rod Stewart? I was looking at all the comments, and one comment really resonated with me. Someone said, "I like this song even more," and that's how I felt after watching you perform that song. Can you just talk about your creative choice for that?
Yeah, funny enough, when I learned that song, it was for a gig. And so it's twofold. I learned that song for a gig, and I don't know what came over me, but I just started visualizing myself on The Voice on that gig. And every time I sung it after that, that's how I saw myself auditioning for The Voice. And people were coming up to me as well after I sang that song and said, "Oh my God, you need to be on The Voice." And that's when that kind of started. I started hearing that a lot. And I think that was part of how I manifested it, the opportunity to begin with. But also, I kind of dedicated it to my great grandmother initially because she was a Rod Stewart fan and she lives on forever through me. And she was also a singer. She's like the matriarch of our family. The beginning of the family legacy begins with her. So it was all of that. And I was so elated to get that as my, my first choice on the show. So that's that. It is completely emotional, and it's true if that's what you feel, is because that's where it began. That's the inception of it.
Moses, were you nervous on stage, or because you're such a veteran of what you do, the nerves weren't that big of a deal for you because you're so experienced?
Oh no, I was nervous for sure, more than ever before. I think that I will say to that though, I think I have a lot of experience channeling and transmutating nerves into the performance, but you were definitely witnessing someone in their head and worried about hitting the right notes and what are they thinking. It's a completely different beast on the voice stage. You're singing to people's backs, hoping for your chance to make it on the show. There's so much riding on this. You're also aware simultaneously that, everyone's going to see this. What if I don't get a turn? So all of this is going in my mind at one point, but I have a lot of experience channeling that into the performance and kind of trying to tune it out or use it rather.
So Moses, people like us, we can watch The Voice, we can watch your performance and really enjoy it and say, "Oh, that's very, very cool. You made The Voice, and I definitely want to see your journey." What part of your journey are we not seeing up till that stage? Meaning all the sacrifices you put in just to get on that stage, all the work that you put in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So yeah, because we only see that part of it.
Right, right. Well, of course, I guess it's the culmination of my entire life. I've been singing since I was 4 or 5 years old with my mom and in church. But like as far as the work I put in to be able to do what I do, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, I moved out at 15 and started doing music professionally. That choice to stick with it is a sacrifice in and of itself because, at some points it's like you're sacrificing stability, you're looking to your left and your right. Other people are doing college, which I did do, but every time I quit, when I got a call to do music, It is the strongest thing that pulls me in life and makes my heart beat. Just that alone, taking that route is such a path of uncertainty to choose to do that with your life on any level. I guess I would say that, and there's a whole bunch of stories within that that led me to that point. To even have the gall to audition, to get the audition is a huge undertaking as well, because all of these things are processed, over time. So I guess I could say that to that question. We'd be here all day, essentially.
Moses, a quick question. I think, did your screen freeze or is that me? I don't know,
Oh,
Nikki,
I
if you
think that's me. Hold on.
no. Okay, no worries. Okay.
Okay,
Take
sorry
your
about
time.
that.
Oh, no
My Zoom
worries.
does that sometimes. It's like when it does that.
Yeah, I don't like Zoom off the record. I don't like Zoom so much. I use Zoom all the time as well. Now, here's the thing. On your bio, it says you've been touring internationally. What
Mhm.
I'm just curious. So going to LA to audition for The Voice, and since you were raised in Harlem, was going to LA and auditioning not a big deal for you? You know what I'm saying? Or what
No,
was
it
it?
was a major deal. Like being on that sound stage, being in Hollywood specifically. So I've come to LA before. I think the
Yeah.
first time that I recall is Tamar. I went on tour with Tamar for her Calling on Lovers tour. So I did that entire run locally and over all throughout the tri-state area in America. But I never got to really live in LA. It was all about call time and things like that. So I was more immersed in LA when I did this experience because, we're staying out there. It was a huge deal, even being on the Universal Music Studios lot, major, like walking past all manner of people of different pedigrees and people that you recognize from TV, just like seeing the sets. That was all a part of the experience, and it was surreal. And it added to what's the word? The anxiety, to be frank, of and the reminder of the magnitude of what I was doing. So there was always that feeling of like there was nothing jaded about it. Everything felt like I was like 16 coming onto the scene for the first time doing my first major gig. It brought me back to that because this was the biggest undertaking of my life thus far.
Regarding it being the biggest undertaking, what are some of the lessons or insights you learned reflecting on your journey on The Voice? We're talking about your sacrifices, but then after the sacrifices, I'm sure you were able to get a lot of lessons and maybe hone your craft, I'm assuming, or whatnot.
Mhm. Definitely. I think I got a great lesson in the balance. And I think as artists, we're always striving for this, but the delicate balance between following your heart and also managing what expectations are around you for said space that you're in. So I think that the coaches really helped me get in touch with that because I'm a gumbo of a whole bunch of stuff. And the way I arrange things, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I had a really great lesson in editing and being mindful of the massiveness of that soundstage and also still following my instinct. And like literally even in the blind auditions, like I kind of stuck to the stencil that we worked on, but towards the end is when I went rogue and I did something off cuff, and that's when Adam turned. So like even in just that experience, like it's a delicate balance of doing what you feel, being an artist and doing whatever, but also having that work done to have a foundation that works for the space, and then finding your way to inject your idiosyncrasies, if you will, into it. And that was a great lesson. I think I'll keep that with me forever.
Moses, final couple questions. First off, I want to give a little bit of props to Rhythm and Sweets at your Harlem watch party.
Yeah,
I've
shout
seen
out
a
to
lot of
Rhythm
watch parties on IG, Moses, and my goodness, was that a really well done and prepared party? Can you just talk about what Rhythm and Sweets brought to that overall experience? That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. That's my good friend Stephanie Henry. Shout out to you, Steph. Love you. Yeah, she took that idea and she ran with it. I did not even I can't take any credit for that. That's all her. She found the graphics and I approved them. I said, yeah, those are the pictures I want to use. But other than that, that's a completely her idea because I was way too frazzled at the time to help her with any planning. It was all kind of because we don't really have an insight of when we go on. So once you find out we're going, it's like we're scrambling. So I was able to make that help with the help of her. And I was so blessed to have her there. She's an old friend of mine that's been a supporter of mine, screaming things like, you need to be on The Voice since she became aware of what I do. And, when I was a teenager. So it was full circle moments all around that night. And I'm so grateful for, I see that my video is
No worries.
I'm just so grateful that I was able to experience that and share that moment with everyone for sure.
On your on your bio, it says also very final question is you mentor students of all ages. What does
Mhm.
that part of your life give to you on a really wonderful and maybe selfish level because you're giving a lot. Maybe what do you get back as well from that whole experience on being a mentor to people of all ages, through your music?
Would say that it is such a joy of mine to be able to share my life's experience with the younger generation and also like anyone that is aspiring to do music on any level, because I really do stand by the belief that the things that we go through and the things that we accomplish through those life's valleys and what have you, they're not just for us. It's not for bragging rights. It's because as human beings in community, I'm very big on community. It's for someone else, and I get to exercise that old adage in my life through teaching and just having kids look up to me and ask me, how did I do it? How did I get, to that point? How did I keep going despite some of the struggles that I'm very open about? And that is so much. That brings me so much reward, other than just being able to do music, which is, obviously a great reward. But that in that way, I get to receive the love and the satisfaction. To be frank, it does feel good to use my experiences in life to not just make it, but to help someone else along.
And just very quickly, I'm way older than you, but and lately I've been going back to my old neighborhood, which is right near
Mhm.
where I live right now, and I remember all the times when I was a kid and what that place brought me. Now, as
Mhm.
you're getting older and more experienced, what do you think Harlem has brought you as an artist, and most importantly, as an individual, when you reflect and you mature throughout the years?
Mhm. Wow, I feel like one of the things I'm really fortunate to have gotten from being in Harlem that I can see, especially in hindsight, now that I'm older and have lived a little more, that worldview that you get in Harlem, everyone's represented here. And that was my inception. Like, I don't know a world, essentially, as a child, if you could come, from a child's perspective, everything around me was colorful and so all encompassing. And it gives me a very unique perspective. And I wasn't always aware of that until I started to travel, that everyone doesn't have that. And I think that definitely reflects in the music I like to create. I'm very eclectic. I've had a lot of exposure to different genres aside from the work I've done, like just growing up. Like I had friends from all colors of the rainbow, and those were my friends. I know that's a very unique thing to New York, but specifically in Harlem, the way it's reflected is so beautiful in the community. It's like a village, truly. And I don't think a lot of people are able to say that in the way that that happens in New York, a place like New York. So I'm very aware of that unique experience and how it played out in the person that I am today. In
Well,
so
this is
many
again,
ways, so many ways.
yeah. Again, thank you so much for your time. Really great performance on The Voice and continued success moving forward.
Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you for your time. Thank you for
Pleasure.
having me.
So I'm with Grace Humphries, season 29, The Voice Battle of Champions, team legend. Grace, pleasure to meet you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, no worries. Both sides now, Joni Mitchell, a staggering song to try to
Yeah.
form. Yeah, what was the biggest challenge of performing just this iconic track? Or maybe it wasn't that hard. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it I think the emotion is the hardest part about it, especially being so young. And obviously when you're nervous. I mean, that's it's like the Mount Everest of songs. But I love Joni and I love her songwriting and I love her depth and I just feel so inspired by her and I just knew I had to sing it because I just feel like that's what I want to go for too someday.
What was it like to see John turn and to realize that your performance connected with him?
Well, oh my gosh, I smiled so big. I was like, oh my gosh, it just meant the world to me. There's so many talented artists out there, and just to know that John felt that he heard something in my voice, it meant the world to me.
Yeah. And speaking of meeting the world, what's it been like to actually share not just your performance, but the story of your life with I don't even know the number, maybe millions of people who watch The Voice. What has the last several days been like for you as far as the response and are you still taking it all in?
Yeah, I'm definitely still taking it all in. In fact, I've skipped a couple of my classes because I'm just like a little overwhelmed right now. But no, my friends are really in college. They're really happy for me and really excited for me. And I've just had the best support from them. Yeah.
Within looking at your journey on The Voice and you reflect on the time gone by, what are the most important lessons you learned under Team Legend and just from that whole experience? Without giving too much away, but just in general, what did you learn from The Voice?
I think besides growing vocally, I just think I grew in a sense where there's a place for everyone in the music industry. And I think it's easy for artists to fret over that and just, oh no, what am I going to do? But I think I've just realized there's a place for everyone. And you don't need to stress about it because stress ultimately can hinder your creative process.
I think I saw one of your posts on IG. You are a huge fan of books. You're a book lover, and a lot of your songwriting comes from your inspiration of books. Unfortunately, I'm going to embarrass myself, but over the years, since I review movies, I haven't gone back to my book love since I was even in my early 20s. So, right off the top of your head, right now, can you name a book that was so special to you that really inspired you to write a bunch of songs? Or is it hard to pick one book, I guess? Maybe a couple.
I think it's hard to pick one, but a book that really stuck out to me was The Catcher in the Rye. That book is so deep, and I know a lot of people like there's mixed reviews about it. And I read The Bell Jar, and they're like, "Why don't you like The Bell Jar over The Catcher in the Rye?" Because they're similar in genre. I don't know. I just feel like the way it deals with just the big life questions, it's very deep, and it got me thinking. So I would say The Catcher in the Rye.
Regarding your songs, can you just talk about creating a very real, in my opinion, Christmas song in For Years, which I thought has a beautiful, it's just a beautiful song. How hard was that for you to write and craft? Because it's just a very special song that no matter whether you're listening to it during the holidays, it's an evergreen song.
Yeah. For years, I started that on my own. I started the chorus and a couple lines in the verse, and I just kept hitting a brick wall. So I actually co-wrote it with Fionn Camp, and we finished the song together. And as we were writing it, I was writing the bridge, and I kind of like had this moment of my brother, this image of me and my brother going to get the presents under the tree, and that's like the climax of the song, and that's kind of like what the song or that feeling like centers around is that loneliness that I feel during Christmas is mostly because of my brother and thinking about all the Christmases that we shared together and like the magic of childhood disappearing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very resonant song. I remember years ago, I interviewed an author. Okay, when I interviewed authors, and she said, my book isn't completed until it's read and shared. So when For Years was completed, or maybe any of your other songs, when you complete it and it's shared and you have people giving their input or sharing their lives with you, I'm sure that's happened. What is it like for you to take that all in? Is it a little bit overwhelming when you talk about your life, but when people talk about their lives too? Is it an experience that's hard to put into words, so to speak?
Yeah, like when people relate to my songs, it's definitely it's a surreal feeling cuz that's what you want. And sometimes you realize like that you put yourself out there. Like it's you put yourself out there, but sometimes you forget that you did. And then when people come up to you and say, "Oh, I saw your song," and you realize you've just bared yourself to the for the whole world to see, and it's a weird feeling sometimes. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to read one of your lyrics here, and maybe if you can give us context to the song. Never been in love, but Texas my heart, has her heart, has my heart, right? And then before that, you were writing about just the idea of not seeing the sunrise on these roads, and I think it's very bittersweet. Can you just talk about creating that song, what that song, the title is, and I think that's a very personal song as well.
Oh yeah, that one's so a lot of my songs are based on books, especially like my love songs. But Texas Has Her Heart, that's very personal and autobiographical. And it's well, I grew up in Texas. I moved there when I was 8. I've lived there for 10 years, and I wrote this song on my way to college actually my this semester because I took a gap semester because of The Voice. And I wrote that in the car, and I miss Texas so much. Like I love it here in Nashville and in Belmont, but Texas is just a special place. And that's what that song's about. It's a love song for Texas.
I guess it's hard to even describe why it's a special place for you, because one would say your loved ones and your family are there. That's the obvious answer. But are there other answers that you're still trying to figure out? Because is it just the environment? Is it the way it's in your blood? Maybe I don't know.
I think it's just there's so much. Maybe it's that Texas is so big. There's so much space there. But I mean, I feel like there are other places that have so much space. I don't know what it is about Texas though that makes it so magical. I think the people are really nice there. No offense to Tennessee, but I've noticed that the people generally in Texas are very nice. And I don't know, just family and faith is very central in Texas. I don't know. I think it's just there's a lot of people that are happy to be there and you feel that, and yeah.
Grace, I use Spotify. That's my digital platform of choice. And I go to find your stuff on Spotify, you have a really solid following of people who really love your music. Can you just talk about crafting that community over the years, and how great is it to know that you've had that, and then now the voice will help a little bit too. But the bottom line is you've had that steady foundation. And what has been the key for you to build those people? Is it just simply hard work and writing those songs and going to the studio and whatnot?
Yeah, I think it's mostly writing songs, never try to write something every day even if it's a hook. I think it's posting consistently as well, releasing consistently, just creating a product that people will relate to, because if they can't relate to it, then they're not going to care. Cuz you could write a song about an experience you had one day, but it's too specific and people aren't going to relate to that because it's too specific. So you've got to find ways to make everything relatable, your content, your songs, everything.
Yeah, as a songwriter, is it hard every day? What happens when those days you're trying to write a song or you're trying to create a story and it just doesn't work? Is the key to saying, okay, well, this day didn't work, but I put the work in, and so tomorrow's another day? Is that part of your progress as a consistent artist?
I think I'm dealing with this actually right now. I have a bit of writer's block. I think it's sitting down to write something, and then it's you reach a point where it's, oh, that's good, and then you step away from it and it's, no, that's horrible. But you keep writing even if it's bad every day, or every other day, because you never know if you could use that idea down the line. And I think also it's just like a muscle, and if you're not working it, then it's going to atrophy and it's not going to be as strong. So I would say writing every day even if it's bad.
And then on working on that muscle and practice and I guess getting in shape, how has Belmont shaped you? That education, studying music, I'm sure you're also learning. And what has that overall this semester been like for you? Because you have a lot of other things pulling you, right? As well.
Yeah, I Belmont has inspired me so much. There are so many talented musicians here. I've made so many great friends that love the same things. And I think that obviously when you're tired, it's harder to be creative. But I've felt so inspired in my music just being here in Nashville.
And final question is just what has been the greatest takeaway from The Voice? Not about expanding your artistry, but when you look back on The Voice and your journey, what are the biggest attributes or things that you can take away from it? Is it the friends? Is it just the learning process or all that stuff?
I think it's everything. I think it's well, I was there with my mom because I was still technically a minor on the show. So that was really fun being there with my mom and the friends. I made so many lifelong connections and just really, really, really sweet, good people. And obviously the experience itself, I grew so much. My confidence, like when I go do a gig, I have so much more confidence now. And I don't really get nervous anymore.
Chris, again, thank you so much for your time. Most important question of the day: Texas or Los Angeles? Who has the better food?
I think it depends on where you
Yeah, of
are.
course. Of course.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to say Texas because I'm a Texas girl. So
100%. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You guys both take care. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.